They say every manipulator eventually meets someone who plays their game better. When we know how to create and offer temptation to someone, like bait, we can make them believe that if they follow our lead, they'll get something extraordinary, something they've always desired. And that bait can be anything: money, pleasure, sex, or even something abstract, like guilt or redemption. The key is to find a person's weakness, then uncover the fantasy or desire behind it and make them believe that you can fulfill it. When done right, you spark intense curiosity that blinds them from fear, doubt, and suspicion until they finally do exactly what you want. Let's talk about Jason. Jason was rich, good-looking, and charming. But behind that perfect image, he was a manipulator, a modern-day playboy who knew exactly how to make people fall for him. One day, Jason went back to his hometown and unexpectedly met someone from his past, his ex, Rachel. Rachel was once his victim. Years ago, when they first met, Jason was a college student and Rachel was already working full-time. She was beautiful, but came from a struggling family, which made her vulnerable to wealth and comfort. Jason saw that weakness, and as always, he used it. He showered Rachel with luxury, fine dining, gifts, expensive hotels, making her feel like a queen. Eventually, she gave in. They spent a night together, and the next morning, Jason left her a large sum of money and disappeared without a word. That night, Rachel learned one of the most painful lessons of her life. Years passed, and out of all the people Jason had manipulated, Rachel remained unforgettable, one of the few who truly left a mark on him. When he met her again years later, she looked stunning, dressed in designer clothes, carrying an elegant bag, and wearing a wedding ring. Jason assumed she had married for money. He couldn't stop thinking about it, who her husband was, how rich he might be, and whether Rachel ever told him about their past. The thought consumed him. He told himself, just because she's married doesn't mean I can't win her back. He managed to talk to Rachel again, and through their brief conversation, he learned that she was married to Mr. Johnson, a successful businessman. He tried reaching out several times, but Rachel ignored his messages. So one day, he decided to show up at her house. It was a big, luxurious mansion. He called her from the gate. She refused to come out, but agreed to meet at a cafe later that week. When that day came, Rachel arrived elegant, graceful, confident. Seeing her again completely shattered Jason's composure. The longer he looked at her, the stronger his desire grew. He thought, she can't belong to anyone else. She should be mine. But Rachel was cold. She told him she didn't want to see him again and walked away. Jason couldn't stop thinking about her. Every night he wondered about her husband. Was he better looking, smarter, richer? His obsession grew until he could barely sleep. Even though Rachel never replied, he kept sending messages every single day. Until one day, she finally answered. But her reply wasn't what he expected. It was full of anger. She called him a pathetic man driven only by lust, obsessed just because she was now off limits. Jason tried to explain that he had changed, that this time he truly loved her. But after that message, she never replied again. And his obsession turned darker. He began to think that maybe he could never love anyone else. He even fantasized about getting rid of her husband. Eventually, his vacation ended. He texted Rachel one last time to say goodbye. Surprisingly, she replied and told him to come see her before he left. The next day, Jason went back to that fancy neighborhood. He asked the security guard, "Is Rachel home?" The guard frowned. "You must be mistaken. Rachel lives in the house next door. Jason turned to see a small, worn-down house. He knocked, and Rachel opened the door, inviting him inside. Her home was modest, almost empty, nothing like the image she had projected. Then she told him everything. After Jason left her years ago, she was devastated. It took months to recover from the heartbreak. But even after she realized she had been used, she couldn't stop loving him. She used the money he left behind to change her life. New clothes, new style, new confidence. She built an illusion of success. She followed Jason's social media, learning that he was coming back to town. So she prepared her revenge. She knew exactly how a manipulator's mind worked. Men like Jason always crave what they can't have. That's why she created the illusion of being forbidden. The designer bags, the wedding ring, the fake husband, all part of her plan. And it worked perfectly. Jason fell into his own trap. When Rachel finished her story, Jason was silent. Then he offered to make things right, to marry her, to start over. But Rachel smiled and said no. She knew the truth. If she married him, he would eventually get bored and hurt her again. That's the irony of it all. A woman who was once a victim of manipulation ended up becoming a manipulator. Here's the lesson. Think of Rachel as an apple. A simple apple is easy to find, easy to eat, nothing special. But the moment you make it forbidden, everyone wants a bite. Rachel turned herself into that forbidden fruit. She made Jason believe she was unattainable, yet gave him just enough hope to keep him obsessed. Every meeting, every short reply, every smile, it kept him hooked. That's the dangerous thing about manipulation. People can use anything, status, religion, guilt, even morality, to control others. It's a dark skill, but knowing it helps you recognize when it's being used against you. So learn from Jason and Rachel's story. Don't let curiosity blind you. Don't fall for illusions, because sometimes the most dangerous traps are the ones you want to fall into. What do you think? Was Rachel justified in manipulating Jason, or did she go too far? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your take on it.